And we're live. I'm Chris Cordani, I'm the producer, sitting in for Tony Shaffer. He is on the road right now. We're hoping he'll come in pretty soon, and we'll be talking to him in just a little bit. That's hopeful. We also have a couple of cool guests. We always like to have our guests on, but we're going to do something a little special. Right now, one of my guests is the very cool celebrity photographer, Barry Morganstein. Welcome to the Shaffer Files.
Hey, good to be here. Congrats on the new show. Happy New Year. First time here. Love it.
Well, it's great to have you too. And those of you who are looking at me saying, "Hey, wait, Tony Shaffer doesn't have a beard." Well, definitely, he's also in better shape than me. So I'm Chris. Feel free to join us in the live chat. Say whatever you'd like. We're going to talk news of the day. There's a lot of things to discuss, but we also are going to be talking about your new book, and that's this one, Rockin' Soul. Which is
That's it.
Cool, by the way. Yeah, it's
thank you.
You're excited. You're a longtime photographer, celebrity photographer. You've been taking. Let's put it this way: you've been in the middle of the scene for a very long time. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Tell us a little about the book before we move forward.
Yeah, it's just been over a year in the making. Before I started doing headshots and portraits, I was a rock and roll photographer. So I was shooting for record companies, magazines, and over the years, posting on social media, people would say to me, "Barry, when are you going to do a book? I want to buy it. I want to do a coffee table book." And finally, my wife said, "It's your legacy. You got to do it. You got to get it out there." We found a great publisher with Ballast Books who does a lot of work with veterans, so it's a good fit. And we finally did it. It was released in November and somehow became a top seller or a bestseller on Amazon. It's already sold out on Amazon. So that's kind of exciting. Wasn't expecting that, but happy.
Amazon still has the book, so you can get your copy and get it quickly because it does go quickly. You don't want to be waiting for that sort of thing right now.
We can get it on my site now. So just people go to my site. It's available. You get a signed copy. So you can ignore Amazon.
Well, that's a good thing. Well, how about this? A couple of big things happening. I know a lot of people are saying, let's talk about the riots in Minneapolis. Let's talk about what's going on all over the place when it comes to Greenland, the Middle East, and everything else. Hello there, cousin Vinny. But I want to start with this. Representative or Senator Slotkin says she is being investigated. And my friends, that's a good thing. She's one of these seditious six. If you remember, they put out that video says, disobey the illegal orders the president gives you. We'll back you up. Honestly, she's lying. So your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's about we're all waiting. People like this need to be arrested. It's just there's so much of this. It's just the traitors. I mean, they're siding with the criminals. It's like, when are people going to be held accountable? We've been waiting for the long 4 years when nobody was held accountable. Democrats could do basically anything. So, we voted for this. Let's do it. Let's lock them up because enough is enough. This is ludicrous.
Well, not only is enough is enough. If any of the Republicans tried to pull this during the Biden autopen era or the Obama era, well, first during the Obama era, they would be called traitors and racist. But during the Biden era, same thing. You say, hey, these people are doing something wrong. Hey, you can't even point this out or else the media would suppress it first. Then they demonize the messenger. That actually happened quite a few times.
Right. I mean, Trump sneezed and he was impeached and indicted, basically. So, yeah.
Well, the globalists have taken a severe beating over 2025. We talked about this. I'm going to rehash this with you and get your thoughts. And I want to hear what our live streamers say about this too. But the left has been, and the media would not tell you this, but they've been taking severe beatings. First off, last year, the leftist government in South Africa was exposed for its genocide of the South African farmers. Honestly, they were exposed a long time ago. Just that information has been suppressed. Luckily, we have a president that takes care of that sort of thing. Javier Milei, elected again in Argentina, another punch to the left. Another one was Chile. The president of Chile, the populist, beat the communist. It was to the point, though, and this is the interesting part, it was to the point where the Communist Party and the candidate itself had to hide the fact that she was affiliated with them. That's how embarrassing it was to be a communist. how embarrassing it was for the left to call somebody a racist, and people were afraid of all of that, and the word fascist and everything else, and right winger has become a bad word. We have to bring back a time where it should be shameful to be a communist
Right.
and a socialist.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, it's celebrated by the left or by the Democrats, obviously. So, they're happy to celebrate it, and they're proud of it. But no, it has to be. They're going up against law enforcement too. It says there was a time when that was unthinkable in this country. We have people in this country who are proud to be communists, who are proud to be anti-law enforcement, pro-criminal. It's got to stop.
And that's the other thing. These people who are protesting in Minnesota, and that's another issue in and of itself. It's not
Mhm.
just the protest. I believe in somebody's right to protest. Hold the signs, scream and yell all you want. Say, I don't agree with what you're doing. That's what the country's all about. The Boston Tea Party was a protest. All right, maybe somebody could say destruction of property, but the fact is, we're not going to be taxed by an entity that will not let us be represented. These people are represented, actually, and they're allowed to protest. They're allowed to say, hey, I don't like what the government's doing. Unless, of course, you're on the right, then you're not allowed to protest, and there'll be agitators in there to make you look bad. Left doesn't need that sort of thing. Now, it's come to fruition. The good thing about doing a show once a week, it's come to fruition. You get to look at what's going on, you get to assess it, and you bring it forth, and you don't get the knee-jerk response. But after this whole thing with Renee Good, I'm watching the reactions to it. The idea was, I believe the left was sitting there waiting for this to happen for a long time. I believe they were chomping at the bit, hoping for this to happen to somebody.
They're secretly celebrating.
They are. They thought they could build their own Georgina Floyd. In fact, they Trayvon Martined her as well too. You saw the beautiful picture of her, of Renee Good they used for, oh, look what the mean old ICE and Trump people did to this poor innocent mom of kids.
A poet. Don't
Yeah.
forget a right.
Poet.
Poet. Yeah.
She doesn't have custody of the kids, barely has custody of the kids, and she looks more like the cropped-haired, angry, the angry Judith Butler haircut and Rachel Maddow wearing glasses look. And that
right.
they don't use that picture because we all know those people are annoying.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Exactly what they did with I forget what his name you just said, but yeah, that's what the media does. Today, the media would refer to Charles Manson as a musician.
Oh, and a poet too.
Right? Yeah, songwriter, musician.
Hey, I wouldn't be surprised if they referred to Jeffrey Dahmer because of his, let's just say, tendencies as an erstwhile chef.
Exactly. Right. Right.
Because they don't want to offend the fact that he's I guess of the rainbow crowd, if you will.
That's right. Exactly.
It's like they're always screaming about the next Hitler, the next this or that. These people are them. And it also came to fruition that this Renee Good and her wife and people around her. But Renee Good was part of this group called Ice Watch, which apparently trains themselves to agitate, antagonize, and cause real issues when it comes to enforcing the law. That's an issue.
Right. They were all day harassing ICE and trying to, prevent them from doing their job. So she wasn't just driving through on the way to, dropping her kid off from school and ICE agents decide to shoot her. She was there disrupting. She was, if I'm late with a parking ticket, the police will come after me. So, you don't go to a rally and physically try to stop ICE agents from doing their job. It's ludicrous. And to think that this could end any other way, especially trying to hit them with their car, that's a whole nother thing. So it's an insanity how they're making her into a hero, as always, like a la George Floyd, and the list goes on.
Oh yeah, and then and listening to self-righteous people at the Golden Globes was kind of annoying too. Although I didn't watch the whole thing because I'm tired. I don't like to watch liberals pat themselves on the back all the time. I did watch some clips of some of these self-righteous celebrities who knew nothing about what was going on.
Well, they have what's his name, the dumbest one of them all, and that's saying a lot. Why am I drawing a blank? The guy with the curly hair is wearing a white tuxedo. He's always on about poor Gazans and this and that. So now he's what's that guy?
They're interchangeable.
You have the clip there of him. He's a moron. And speaking of morons, there's another one.
Well, there were people whining about the fact that some of the celebrities, like Julia Roberts, didn't really talk about this. Some of them are finally realizing, hey, we're dividing half the country, or I know I want to say something, but I don't want to go this far. This is ridiculous. I can't even say anything. So they're going to say nothing if they don't really agree or disagree with anything. This Kathy Griffin decided, hey, she got her hair back, by the way. That's kind of nice. This Kathy Griffin had to go on yammering on about why she was upset that Julia Roberts didn't say anything about the Renee Good situation. Let's hear what she says. And this is important because, again, the Hollywood types, the celebrities, this is what the far left and the left types, these are the people that they look to for advice and idea and to worship.
Right.
Julia Roberts and George Clooney. I'm sorry, but I am going to be one of those ones that says I do wish Julia Roberts had made a speech, mention Renee Good's name, talk about the society that we are all living in real time, make this issue go from a video to a movement. And George Clooney, I'm looking at you too. I know you're amazing and you're so bright.
Compared to her.
Were up there last night, I was hoping for more. I was expecting more from you because you're untouchable. You guys are Teflon. You and Julia Roberts can never be canceled.
All right. First off, they wouldn't be canceled unless they spoke out, let's just say, on an issue that Trump might slightly agree with.
Right. Oh, my God, of course. Yeah. Her dog knows she's an idiot.
Yeah, well, I like the dog. But again, Kathy Griffin reflects the sentiment of a lot of people on the left who look to celebrities for, let's just say, affirmation, if you will.
Right.
How many people during the Kamala Harris Donald Trump campaign in 2024? How many of them said, "Oh, well, you guys got Scott Baio and Kid Rock, well, we have all these wonderful celebrities on our side."
Yeah.
Fine.
Oh, Mark Ruffalo, that's the one I was thinking of.
I forgot about him.
He's the king idiot. I mean, they're all bad. He is.
That guy mouths off about everything under the sun. That's
right. He's dumber than Kathy Griffin, I think, if that's possible.
Oh, well, Kathy Griffin, I never thought Kathy Griffin was an idiot. I just thought she was kind of just off. When she doesn't take her meds.
Right, that's it.
She's not
right. Ruffalo, I think, is a moron.
I think the biggest morons in politics are the people that greenlight and actually create Rose DeLauro's media campaigns.
That is mind-boggling that she's in Congress. This week,
she tries to be hip too. I'm 50-something, and I'm not hip. I get it. Okay, I'm not going to try to be hip and be cool and call myself the ranking Rizzler. Honestly, I didn't even say tubular or stuff like that in the 80s.
You try the purple hair.
Right.
Might work. Right. Yeah, that makes her real cool. She looks like something out of a horror movie.
Yeah. Well, this is even worse. Get a load of this. I know she's yammering on about ICE, but watch this.
There's been some bad faith reporting on Twitter, and I'm going to set the record straight. I do not support an increase in ICE funding. Can I repeat that? I do not support increasing funding for ICE. I am looking for policy writers in the Homeland Security bill to be able to rein in ICE. President Trump provided 75.
All right. First off, this woman can't get through the entire video. There's so many jump cuts there. I'm going to get a seizure. Let's go on.
$1 billion for ICE in the one big beautiful bill. I voted against this bill. ICE is terrorizing our communities.
All right. See, this is where the left is really trying to hammer everything down on us. They're trying to tell you that the secret police, the Gestapo, if you will, are trying to put the jackboots on the necks of all the innocent people in these cities. In fact, they're basically cleaning up criminals, getting rid of the worst illegal aliens and those that are around them. First off, I know people, some of these guys only committed robberies. Well, they're around the murderers, the rapists, and the child traffickers. You know what? They're gone too. With that, we bring in Joe Pangero, Lieutenant Joe Pangero, who's with us as well. By the way, first off, both of you are associated with the Blue magazine.
That would be me. I'm a writer there.
Very cool.
We love Blue magazine. I'm their photographer, one of their photographers.
I know you are. And
matter
of fact, Danny just honored me They're naming me as the Blue Magazine's criminal investigator. And they're going to put me on the website. And I've been writing for 10 or 11 years for them, but now I'm going to be doing all kinds of videos and clips on criminal investigations.
That's amazing. Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
we probably met before because I'm always at their events. So,
Yep.
and Dan and George, they're all the best guys.
Outstanding.
Love everybody at Blue, but that's so cool. Good for you. Love it.
So I'm glad to be here with you, Chris.
Thanks. I'm glad to have you, Joe. We had fun with you last time. As I said, Tony's going to try to make it in. He's been very busy. He's on the road right now. But so Joe Pangero, by the way, is also the host of The Human Equation, found on America Out Loud's Talk Radio Network. It's americaoutloud.news. So that's a lot of fun too. A lot of good stuff. A lot of good insight in there. Let's add the human equation to all of this. I know the celebrities and the Congress members, they're just rabbling the rousers or rousing the rabble, if you will, something like that. And by the way, if you want to comment on anything, join us on the live stream. Share the stream. You can do that on X, on Facebook, anywhere you are. Tell your friends about the Tony Shaffer YouTube channel because there's a lot of insight going on. We have his deep dives that are on Thursday nights. We'll do samples of that. We got some great stuff on ColonelTonyShaffer.com. You can find that on the corner here. Subscribe to Tony's X page, T Spooky, for even more in-depth conversation. So we're very happy to have all of that. Thank you, Donna. We appreciate that. So let's offer the human equation. These wine drinking, Chardonnay abusing, girl boss meanie moms on Twitter seem to love to join in the fray, and they were agitated by these rabble rousers and turned into useful idiots. Some of them actually acting upon what they're being told to do, but safe from behind a camera, people who barely would even find themselves on the front lines here are trying hard to instigate more violence. Let's listen to some of these examples of Chardonnay abuse.
All we're learning from this is that you should hit the gas. If you should run them over. You should run them over with your car, and you should do it quickly before they can fucking shoot you. I have to go to my mechanic. I have to get my car fixed so that I can drive faster, just in case. This is fucking insane. You should hit them.
And there you go. You should hit them. By the way, new style of glasses. She at least breaks free from the Rachel Maddow look, right?
White liberal women. They're so scary.
It's amazing to listen to these people out there. You know, I always try and give everybody the benefit of the doubt. We all have points of view. We all have different life experiences that bring us to things. This situation is just these people, they absolutely are out of their minds. It's not rational thinking. It's not common sense. It is all driven by this twisted emotion, and they don't make any sense. This woman's calling for running down officers. This is part of the bigger problem that we have that's leading to all of this violence, and it's not going anywhere good because the police are not going to back off. They're doing a job. ICE is a law enforcement agency tasked with enforcing the laws. And they're going to keep doing it. And these people are going to find themselves in dangerous situations over and over again.
Yeah, the media is responsible. The media, the Democrats, because they're egging these people on. They're telling these people to resist law enforcement. So they have blood on their hands. You know?
Oh, and that's the thing. These lefties were looking for something to get angry about. And what they really feel about Renee Good, this is what they all feel to a man. The celebrities on down, the politicians on down. Good. We have somebody that we can martyr. And it wasn't me.
Right.
Now, the wife of this Renee Good actually had her do this in hopes that, hopes that the ICE agent would do something, shoot her or beat her or something like that to use her as an example. I don't think anybody in that scene there wanted Renee Good dead. Let's just put it that way. The wife didn't really want her dead. The ICE officers didn't want her dead, but there's a plethora of people around them who wanted to see a death, as long as it wasn't them. And now they have something to rally around. This, my friends, is the disgusting mentality of people on the left.
They're secretly celebrating.
Right.
Yes, there's no doubt about it. Yeah. They look for these kind of situations that they can exploit. And, you know, the term useful idiot comes to us from a deep historical perspective of Marx and Lenin and their socialism, communism, that these people are useful. You can twist them. They say things. They do things. there's a bigger picture behind all of this. They think they're out there, protecting innocent people, and they're being used. And the fact that they cannot see that, they cannot understand that that's what's happening to them is part of the tragedy of the whole situation. But you're right, Barry, the politicians are egging this on.
Mhm.
Words mean things. When they come out and say this was a murder, that these people are Nazis, they're going to come in your house and kill you and your family because they don't care if you're American. You are egging people on to attack, because then it's self-preservation. What are these people doing in my neighborhood? They're going to come and get me next.
Mhm.
And it adds to the confusion. Then there's also, these people that are out in the street have nothing better to do. So they're out there with their signs, and they feel important. They finally have something that gives them some kind of meaning. Okay, I get that, but what is it are you actually doing? What are you actually doing? We have a mother who's dead now. We have little children don't have their mother. Because of what? Because she had to go out there and try and interfere with something that's really has nothing to do with them. It's a law. They're following the law. Go to your politicians and have them change the law. Don't interfere with the cops.
That's a fair point.
What kind of mother drops their kid off at school, then you go off to fight law enforcement? I mean, it's just unheard of in my day. It's like it's insanity.
You watch them, and I think when I watched all those videos, one of the things that I saw, this woman and her wife, is that they were out there. They were going to videotape this. Look how cool we are. We're interfering. Hey, we're not afraid of you. Why don't you get? And they're going to put it on their social media, and they'll be a hero within their own little world.
Right.
Look what I did. I talked strength to power, all this nonsense is, and unfortunately, this feeling that they have they can do anything, that the law doesn't matter. Their politicians back them up, that the law don't matter, telling them to go after these people, these law enforcement, ended up with a woman getting killed.
Well, yeah, so they were very bold. The wife saying, "Drive, baby, drive," with a big smirk on her face, and telling that guy, "Go buy lunch, big guy," whatever she said. I mean, she's not smiling now. Just like you don't F
Right.
around with law enforcement.
Right. Tragedy for everyone, for her, for her
Right.
family, for that officer who had to take somebody's life. He's
That's
going
why
to live with that now the rest of his life.
That's why
That happened. I see these people, these guys, he was out there ready to shoot it. No, they're not. I was a cop for 30 years. We never got together and said, who are we going to go get today? Let's go get these people or those people, or I want to shoot somebody. That's absurd. That is irrational thinking.
I want you've seen the video, and I want to get to Barry's book too. We're gonna have a lot of fun with that. But before we do that, you've seen the video, Joe. You are a police lieutenant. You've been on the front lines. You've had to deal with criminals face to face, people who are threatening your life. And look, these people. A lot of people see you as the enemy. A lot of people see ICE as the enemy. Some of them are smart enough to back off and deal with what they have to deal with. But others, again, they're being antagonized to cause problems, to throw things at officers, to kick them, to punch them, to resist arrest as much as they can. They don't realize you guys have families at home. You guys have to take care of people, that you have to protect the people around the perimeter as well. And you have to also protect yourself when it comes to these violent criminals or these people who seek to do you harm. Talk about how an officer definitely could feel that their life is threatened when somebody when watching that video.
There's no doubt about it. And recently on my episode of The Human Equation, I talked all about this. I've been that cop. I have been that trying to make an arrest of someone in a vehicle that was going to run me over. And I came within a heartbeat of pulling the trigger to protect myself. But this person, it was a drug ripoff. We had purchased drugs, and now it was time to arrest the guy. We surrounded the vehicle. We all had stuff on that said police. It was clear that we were the police. And I was in the front. And this guy, I see him, and I'm telling him, put your hands up. And he grabbed the gear shift, and he was going to throw the car and drive. And I had no place to go. And at that point, I pointed the gun right at him, and he realized, wow, this is now serious. And he put his hands up and surrendered. But there was no place for me to go. I had 2-3 seconds. I couldn't have gotten out of the way. He would have got me. And the reality is, this is what these cops live with. The reason they're wearing the masks is not because they want to hide from you, but because these idiots in the street will put their family name. What the one woman I saw on video, it's not too hard to find out where their kids go to school.
Exactly.
This is the kind of thing that we're dealing with.
Yeah, they're being done.
And you can feel like you can realize, when I watch that video and I see how fast things move, and I have these people writing to me saying, first of all, he could have shot out her tires, he could have shot her motor, this is idiocy by people who have no idea what the real world is. Shooting out a tire when you're 6 feet away is ridiculous. It's not going to stop the car. A handgun.
You could kill more people too,
motor.
couldn't you? Yeah, couldn't that kill and hurt more people if you shot a tire?
Ricochet. It's not going to go into a motor of an engine and stop a motor. That's TV nonsense, And then you hear this other. Well, he shouldn't have been in front of her. That's the fault. No, here's the series. First of all, she shouldn't have been out there interfering, impeding with the law enforcement operation. That's the first one. Number two, she was told to get out of the car. She didn't. She put it in reverse and backed up. Then she went forward. And the officer that got hit, and he did get hit by the car. Mm-hmm. And I know that they would have been celebrating if she ran him over and killed him. But luckily, he didn't get injured that badly. But he was off to the right of the car. When she backed up and started to go forward, that put him in front of the car. And now he has a couple of choices. Get hit, try and dive out of the way, or use force to try and stop the driver, to stop her from doing what she's doing, not to kill her, to stop her from doing what she's doing. And like I said, I've been in that position. I've been that cop on multiple things where people threaten you, and you have choices to make, split second choices. I'm watching them now. They're showing the video frame by frame, backing it up one frame. See, and this, you've got no idea until you've been out there and this stuff is happening to you, how fast that goes, how split second. That's why the law and the courts have recognized in many decisions that hold weight all across the country that the officer's experience, the officer's understanding at the moment is what's important. They even say if an officer makes a mistake, it doesn't make a legitimate use of force illegitimate because the officer made a mistake. It's all in the moment and what's happening. And I listen to these people and they got in their head. The bottom line, break it all the way back. Any one of those things that she did, if she undid them, she'd be alive today.
All right.
That was not the cop's fault. It was her fault.
Not at all. Yeah. Hey, if she didn't pull this on them, if she didn't even, if she wasn't antagonizing, none of this would happen, and it would be considered a more peaceful protest.
Right. She has every right to go on the sidewalk, wave her signs, carry flags, yell and scream. I'm all for that. I believe that 100%. That's our right as citizens. You don't get to go in the street and block cars and stop and jump out and do all this stuff that she did. It's unfortunate and terrible, tragic situation for her and her whole family, and for that cop and for everyone that this woman got killed. Nobody wanted her to get killed, but she was out there causing this problem that results in that. And instead of the politicians saying, don't break the law, don't interfere with law enforcement, don't get in their way, they're telling them to go out there and do it. They're encouraging this. And everybody sits back and says, well, that's a legitimate point of view. No, it's not. It's mental illness that's running wild in many people in our country to think that they can do this.
There's mental illness for sure.
100%. Now, before we get to, well, I have a question for you first off. And before I do that, I want to get to what Judy said. Yeah, I like the expression "useful idiots" too, as well. But that was actually originated by the what was his name? That was originated by Vladimir Lenin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was Lenin who actually said there are people they can use to help manipulate others into influencing the common.
And that's what I'm talking about. There's a bigger picture going on behind all of this left-wing stuff that our friends on the left, I think most of them are good and decent people. I got family and friends that are lefties.
Yes.
They just want the best for everybody. They want fairness. They don't understand human nature. They don't understand how things really work in the world. They don't understand they're being manipulated by people who want something else, and they're using them, and that's why they're useful idiots.
Well, they also believe that they're doing something good without really sacrificing anything or doing something else. The easiest thing to do is virtue signal, to be honest with you. There's no real sacrifice in there. You can yammer on about everything under the sun, and basically nobody will care. Because they'll think they'll think, hey, well, they'll think I'm contributing to society. I'm telling people how to think. and that's the way they are. But I do have a question for you. All right, here's a question. It's a trivia question. How about that? Okay. What do Michael Jackson, Paul McCartney, Elton John, and Tony Shaffer have in common?
That's funny. I'm not good. I know the answer, so
I'm going to guess. I'm going to say they were photographed by the great Barry Morganstein.
I think you are right.
I was a detective. You know.
hey, I think I wearing the same shirt. Yeah, sorry. Good to
I've been waiting to do this for a while. We wanted to build up a little bit, and then a lot of things happen in December and January. So I want to get you on to talk about this book. It's Rockin' Soul, and it's a collage and description of some of the great photos you've done over the years. So what inspired you to put the book together, Barry?
Yeah, basically, before I became a headshot portrait photographer, I was a rock and roll guy. I was a rock and roll photographer, shooting concerts, for rock and roll magazines, record companies. Anyway, over the years, I just post on social media once in a while. I'll post a photo, and people say, "Well, you got to do a book, do a coffee table book." I would buy it, and my wife said, "This is your legacy. You got to get it out there." People were asking. Finally, found a great publisher, Ballast Books, who is they mainly deal with veterans and military authors, which is very cool. So I'm comfortable with them, and I was really happy that they would sign me. And yeah, we finally did it. This last, it was officially released in November, and became an instant top seller on Amazon. And they actually sold out on Amazon, and so I'm selling it through my website still, luckily. But we had to do a second printing, so people like it. So
that's great. Congratulations!
Nice. Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
I'll have to get my copy.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's on my website. Yeah.
You read Ace Frehley.
Yeah, my last book signing in Morristown, some of the blue folks came out to support Holly and Dan and Chris, so that was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was great. So yeah, Ace Frehley shot. Unfortunately, we lost him this year. But
did you know Ace Frehley was in my mother's 3rd grade class? No joke. They went to school in the city, to a private school, and my mother actually has. She actually has the class picture. There's there's little pictures, portraits of everybody. That slab there, and he has a twin brother named Charlie. So Ace and Charlie, with their crew cuts, were in the same 3rd grade picture with my mom.
Was he wearing that
world, right?
Well, he didn't have the long tongue. No, I'm kidding. Gene Simmons with the long tongue.
Right. Who's also
I can share a Gene Simmons story too, but let's do your stories.
Yes.
Bob Gruen. I bring his name up because he took that iconic picture of Sid Vicious eating the hot dog.
Right. Yeah.
You know about that one.
The famous. Yeah, he was one of my influences. He's the one who did the John Lennon with the Statue of Liberty and the New York City T-shirt. Legendary photos. He was one of my big influences, and I actually met him early on when I first started as a photographer. Asked his advice.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Here's a funny connection I have to that the Elton John. I was at that show in Central Park when he came out in the duck suit. I happened to be there that day, and people show that picture constantly. And I'm like, hey, I was right there. That's amazing. I was in history.
Oh, cool. All right. Yeah. Yeah. I have a funny Elton John story in my book that goes along with the photos too. So yeah, I think people appreciate it. There's some pretty good stories in there.
Let's touch on that in a minute. But I wanted to mention the Bob Gruen photo because I wanted to ask you, what was your photo that kind of made you, that kind of shot you up from a regular rock photographer to somebody who would, just became one of the premier rock photographers in the country? What was that photo? That your Sid Vicious hot dog photo, if you will?
Oh, that's tough for me to answer that one, but I know some that maybe stand out and big sellers. There's a Stevie Ray Vaughan photo of mine. It's a really great shot. Captured the soul of his music and the great blues guitarist. There's a few, you mentioned Michael Jackson. That's and a Whitney Houston, which is in the book. That's kind of a pretty well-known shot, I guess. So yeah, hard for me to answer that, but those are some of my favorites I think kind of do stand out that I hear about too. Although I will say, actually, one of my favorites and one do I hear a lot is which I'm proud of, is my Gary Sinise. I have a Gary Sinise with the Lieutenant Dan band photo because I volunteered for the some veteran organizations, including the Gary Sinise Foundation. I have this really cool shot of him performing, and in front of the stage is a bunch of military guys, and they're doing a selfie. And best compliment I ever got on that shot is that people say it reminds them of a Norman Rockwell painting, he's my favorite painter, so I'll take it. That's pretty cool.
What's amazing about photography. You know, I'm a dabbler. I see the subject and I picture it in my head how I want it to come out. And of course, I'm taking it on an iPhone, you know, and sometimes it comes out great. But a photograph is an amazing thing. It captures a moment in time that is unique and can live forever. And that can be emotionally, that can be something that brings you back to that moment. I mean, we look at these pictures and you can relive that moment. So it's amazing when you have someone like you that has the talent you have to capture those things in pictures. It's fantastic.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Now, what makes for a good portrait? I mean, we'll do the headshots there, but a good picture, I guess. In your mind, it's always been said a picture tells 1,000, or a picture is worth 1,000 words. I understand that some pictures aren't worth anything, like the ones of me. And as far as dabbling with the camera, I'm no longer allowed to have one, but that's another story for another day. I'm just kidding.
Right.
But to you, as a professional rock photographer, before doing the headshots, what made that perfect picture?
I think it's just I'm all about capturing the soul and the personality of people, whether it's a portrait or musicians. So it's not about really knowing there's the technical end. People know probably more than I do technically wise, and maybe have more lights or fancier equipment. It's not about that. I think it's more about having a feel for just having to capture people. That's my opinion.
Yep. And it is an art form. I mean, you know, I have a cousin that takes pictures of animals. He goes to the park and he's not taking a picture of a squirrel. I could take a picture of, but he takes a picture that is just so dynamic. There's movement in the picture.
Right.
You can feel the sunshine. And well, he's a professional. That's what he does.
Like, he probably loves nature or animals, so he feels it too. So yeah.
Yeah, it's really amazing. I love photography. I love looking at pictures and going through them. So I'm sure this book is going to be absolutely amazing. I can't wait to get it now.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
See, we made one sale. How about that? We're getting good.
Well, actually, you can't see here in my studio, but I'm a rock and roll guy from back in the day. I was, back when I had hair, right? And before I got into law enforcement, I was a guitar guy.
Yeah, me too.
And I kept the acoustic around all these years, but I was busy in my career, raising a family. Well, recently I took the other half of my basement studio here and I set myself up with amplifiers. I brought my guitars back out. I bought more stuff.
I wish I could see it.
We're going to rock and roll now over here.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I wish I could see that. That's so cool. Well, that's kind of what got me into the photography. Was I started off, had hair down to here. I was a guitar player. And as I say in my book, when I was young, I wanted to be Jimmy Page, but the job was already taken. So I ended up taking his picture years later. But I also was not very good. I was not talented. I wasn't going to have a future as a musician. But I picked up a camera, started photographing my friends who were musicians, and realized, you know what, I love music, so I know how to capture these people. So that was my.
Who was the nicest person that was a big star that you photographed that you would say, man, I thought they were different than what I would have imagined?
Yeah, I guess somebody that I wasn't really surprised, but it was just nice to see some of the biggest celebrities are related. Sammy Davis Jr. he's a legend. Rat Pack, he's one of the greatest entertainers, and he was just such a nice guy. He was interested in photography. He was just a cool guy, and it was honored to meet him. McCartney, being a big Beatles fan, I was like, he was just very nice, charming guy. Elton John was even a little shy, I guess, when I met him backstage. So it's just nice to see. I always found, like I said, some of the superstars are kind of friendlier, just maybe because they're more secured and nothing to prove. So
they like having their pictures taken. A lot of people don't. A lot of these guys do. Here's something. You're telling me this, Joe, and I have to now let the cat out of the bag, because Joe has already officially said that he has a studio down there, pulling out the guitar. He's starting to do some rock. He is now. We're going to reveal this to everybody. He is the lead character in the new TV version of. Oh, I think I screwed that up. I want to time this right. This is what happens when I host and actually do this. At the same and do the board at the same time. But you're going to be the lead character in the movie version of Cop Rock now. Is that what's happening?
Yes, absolutely. Cop Rock. Here we go. We solve crimes at the strum of a guitar. Right. It's kind of magical. I strum the guitar and the notes go into my head and gives me visions, and I can see who actually did the crime, and then I go get them.
That wasn't even a bad show. That was a better show than people made it out to be. Ahead of its time.
That guy in the middle, he was in NYPD Blue, which was a great show. I didn't
Yes,
realize-
he was the lieutenant.
Yeah, he was great in that.
He was excellent in that. Yep.
Lieutenant Fancy, I think was his name. Yeah.
Yes, that was a dynamic show.
That was
Most cop shows, cops don't want to watch because they're all fake.
Yeah.
They shoot 5 people and they go to lunch. And
Right.
it's not real life. But that NYPD Blue was pretty good. That was pretty close to
I
as
think
close as I've seen.
you know more than I do, but I think I love that and Hill Street Blues. I thought were the two.
Hill
two
Street
best.
Blues was good too. Yes.
I love both those shows. Nothing like that.
Funny, I was working a homicide and I had to go to, I think, the first precinct. As soon as you come out of the tunnel into Manhattan, and I go there and I show up at the precinct and I've got to go see a detective there. It was they modeled the studios of NYPD Blue after actual precincts. I walked in, I felt like I was on a TV set.
Oh,
it was
that's
exactly the same. It was really, really cool.
That's interesting.
I was almost like starstruck. Wow, this is unbelievable, just like the show.
Yeah.
Well, neither one of those cop shows can hold a hammer to Sledgehammer. That's my show.
I never heard of that one either. Who's that guy?
That was a classic.
Sledgehammer. Yeah.
Sledgehammer. Trust
Don't
me,
know.
I know what I'm doing.
And just one more question. Just one more question.
Columbo. The
Columbo.
best.
Yeah,
Also,
that's another one. But
Um,
Patrick
Mr.
McGowan
List-
was on Columbo, by the way. Shout out to Prisoner fans.
Who was?
Patrick McGowan, the guy from the
Right.
star of The Prisoner.
That was a great episode. I know that one.
There were a couple of them. In fact, during one Columbo episode, he actually said, "Be seeing you."
Did he?
Yeah, McGowan said, "Be seeing you."
Okay,
To him. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I remember that. Yeah. Great show.
Yes.
So your question.
What's that?
No, your question, Joe.
Oh, no. I'm just saying. I thought that was all of these shows, and I watch, and they come down to these memories. That's what I see about photography and also about watching video, is that it's I just can't get past the fact that it's stolen a moment at a time, and we see these historical shots and pictures of things, and it's just like you can relive it through that. It's just an amazing thing. I can imagine the first guy that actually got the camera to work and take a picture, and all of a sudden there was this image on here that you could actually see. I can only imagine like the first time a person looked down into a pond and saw their reflection and never seen themselves before.
Right.
Holy moly, look at that,
You're right. Exactly.
You saw your reflection?
Sure, no, you look down in the water, you see your reflection. Sure you do.
Yeah, I can't do that in a mirror either. But that's another story for another day. The book is Rockin' Soul. Talk about some of the iconic photos, the people you've taken pictures of in the rock genre, if you will, that buyers of the book and readers of the book will find in there.
Yeah, well, it's a great variety. It's not just rock and roll, because I was torn on the book, the title. I was going to have rock and roll in the title, but I figured, well, it's not just rock and roll. It's got rock, it's got blues, it's got folk, it's got reggae, country, pop, standard. So it's got all kinds of artists. So it's really, if you love music, I think you really like the book, because it's everything's kind of covered in there too.
Did you ever cover the fellas from Aerosmith?
Yeah, it's a great shot. If I do say, I'm also one of my favorite shots. I have a really cool shot of Steven Tyler, and I think there's one of Joe Perry and Tom Hamilton, the bass player, in there too.
Yeah, but, they were my music guys. Listening to them when I was younger is actually what set me off on my my journey into rock and roll.
There's your
There he
Steven
is.
Tyler.
Yeah,
He got promoted.
yeah.
Yes.
That's a great shot. I love that shot too. I got to say, shot that in New Jersey. I think at the whatever
Did
the stadium. So yeah.
That's another thing. These guys put on quite the show, and they move around a lot.
Yeah.
What's the challenge of just getting that right shot when they don't really pose?
It's a big challenge, because back in that day, the record companies, whoever management, would give you two or three songs in the photo pit, and they escort you out. So you have 2 or 3 songs. You have about 25, 30 other photographers fighting for the same shot. So it's tricky, and yeah, the lighting is sometimes low. They're moving, so it's tricky. So you got to know what you're doing.
Right. But that's what I say. Like, I look at that picture and I can hear him singing. Just
Right.
I mean, it's such an alive photograph.
Yeah.
The stuff hanging off the microphone. That was dynamic when I was a kid. I had never seen like rock and roll. Like, that was my first real concert.
Yeah.
And here these guys come out, the stage drops. And when I see that picture, I'm getting some goosebumps here, remembering how cool that was. As I was 15 years old, and all of a sudden this thing drops, and there's this, screaming demon right in front of me. We're right on the barrier, and I was just like, "This is what I want to do. This is unbelievable,"
Exactly.
And that picture reflects that exactly.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I like to think he's singing "Back in the Saddle" in that shot, but that's just.
And that's the opening song that I saw.
Really?
Boom.
Yeah.
I'm back. It was awesome. Just absolutely amazing.
Rock is my favorite Aerosmith album.
It would have been fun, the Jump in the Saddle band, but I'm pretty sure they'd be very hard to take a picture of. I think they were more of a studio band. They're the guys that did the Curly Shuffle. Remember that song?
Oh yeah, I do actually. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those are not rock stars, but yeah.
Now you do headshots. Now I'm going to your website here, and a lot of people know Barry Morganstein for doing either the rock shots or the great television personality headshots. And I got to tell you, you make these guys look great.
Thank you. Yeah. I get some great subjects there. Make my
I'll
job.
bet you could even make me look halfway decent.
Come on in. I would.
I do need headshots.
You know that guy. You just passed Tony.
Yep, there we go. That's a good shot of him. Well, you really. How did you become the guy for a lot of the people who needed headshots?
Yeah, well, after the music stuff, I started doing just headshots for actors. I started shooting a lot for soap opera because I was big in New York. And then I kind of gradually started doing news people. My makeup artist, Maureen Walsh, who's my oldest friend, she kind of introduced me to the people at Fox, recommended me, and I started shooting their people. They started recommending me to their people. Then eventually I started shooting for Newsmax. And I think I became the go-to guy who was, being in New York City, a rare conservative photographer. So everybody kind of knew I was the guy to go to. The safe. It was a safe space, as much as I hate to use that term. It's like,
and that's actually something that I'm thinking about. When you want to go somewhere and you want to interact with people, like as a writer, when I go in and I have to interview somebody, they have to be comfortable with me to tell me the real story, to give me the real information. And I have to assume it's even more so with taking their picture.
Right.
I mean,
trust and it's all about being comfortable and relaxed. And not that, I'm happy to photograph anybody, but it's certainly, I think the conservatives are very comfortable. Again, shooting a lot of veterans and military or law enforcement who may be speakers on TV, and they'll be comfortable coming to me because they know I'm big supporters. So.
Right. Absolutely amazing. And that's absolutely true. Because, when you think about that, a headshot, that's going to represent you
right
to the world. And, I love these pictures that you see on the news. You can tell when there's a bias in the story, whether right or left, that doesn't matter. When they show a picture of the person and it's a very unflattering photograph.
Yeah. I've seen that.
Why did they do that? To make you look bad, right? Or look guilty or whatever.
Yeah.
We have a local paper up here, or had a local paper. It's not just like a thin thing. It was called the Times Herald Record. I remember during the election season, every Republican and even many of the Democrats looked like they were screaming or looked really horrible. They always had these the photo pictures during the campaign of virtually every politician except for one, with a weird look on their face or screaming or looking dumb, except for one. They actually had a posed picture from these Green Party mayoral candidate in New Paltz because they wanted to push him and let him when he was a young guy. And they had him with this picture where he's looking like he's thinking. And he actually it looked like he posed for the picture. He's thinking, well, everybody else had a crazy candid picture. This kid, the paper made sure to have this kid thinking. And that's exactly how they manipulate people as well. They make you think, hey, these people are nuts. Oh my gosh. And this guy, I like the way he thinks.
Yeah, right.
Look at Trayvon Martin and look at Renee Good right now.
Exactly. Or what about that recent photographer? They did the story. Don't ask me why the White House invited Vanity Fair to do a story on them because they knew it was going to be a hit piece. But anyway, they brought in a photographer. I don't know if you remember, and he did this hideous close-ups of Caroline Levitt and other people in the administration. So unflattering, and it didn't. And I photographed her. She's right behind me. She's natural beauty. Doesn't look anything like that. It was just, and it was done on purpose. And it was terrible.
Barry, since you met all these people, is there anybody you were starstruck to meet? Like, I mean, you get used to being around these different celebrities, so you know them, you've seen them. Was there anybody that you were like, wow, I'm going to meet this person?
Well, in the beginning of the music career, there's some funny stories about that. Me being, a little, young rock and roller, nervous and meeting like McCartney.
Yeah, right. Paul McCartney.
Yeah, and there's
icon of the world for music.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, in the beginning for the musicians, for sure. I mean, my first professional photo shoot, I was sent to photograph Jeff Beck and Bill Wyman of the Rolling Stones, and I'm a big Stones fan, so this was my first professional shoot I was being sent to. So I was like basically looking through my camera, saying, "Holy blank, that's Bill Wyman of the Rolling Stones." Yeah. So I have a lot of stories like that too, that especially in the beginning, So.
Well, it's interesting. I'll tell you a funny story about a guy that I got to as a cop. We had a community where there were people that were celebrities that were in and out of town, and you would meet them when they had a car accident, you meet them when they had a problem. Right. And you kind of like, oh, I can't believe I'm talking. And then after a while, they're just a person. They just happen to be famous, right? Well, we had a comedy club in town, Rascals Comedy Club.
Oh, I remember.
And at the time, I think Andrew Dice Clay was coming at the height of his, celebrity.
Right.
And I was working. I was in plain clothes, and I knew he was coming on probably about 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. So I'm sitting in the back lot, and I had gone in, talked to the owner. He goes, "No, he's not here yet. He shows up through the back door." And I said, "Well, I'm not going to bother the guy, but I'll sit back here. Maybe I'll see the Dice Man, right?"
Right.
And I'm sitting there, and about 8:45, I see this car pull in, and the guy gets out of the driver's seat. Well, then out of the passenger seat comes the Dice Man, and he's got the big Phoenix jacket, and he puts it on.
Right.
And I'm like, "What do I do?" So I grabbed the microphone. And at the time, he had been on Howard Stern a bunch of times, and he was doing this, "You hear me? I hear you," right? So I get on the PA, and I go, "You hear me?" And he goes, "I hear you." And he walks into the building.
That's great.
Like, it was my connection to the Dice Man,
That's pretty cool. That's a great story.
That's good stuff. Hey, sometimes it's sometimes fun to meet some of the and they always say you don't want to meet your favorite artists or your favorite comedians or your favorite game show hosts or your rockers or anything like that. Might be disappointed, but look, some of these guys really do seem like regular people. Some of them are enjoyable to be around, But
a lot of disappointing situations. Been lucky.
So you've done some book signings, Barry. Are you going to be doing some more in the near future? And
yes.
Where are they going to be?
We're actually trying to schedule some. There's a Barnes & Noble in Clark, New Jersey I'm working on. But we just had a big, during the holidays, we had a big grand opening launch in Virginia. It was in Arlington, Virginia. That was a great turnout. We had Chris Plants, Sean Spicer showed up. So we had some cool people in the area show up. Had one in Morristown, New Jersey. Had one in Montclair. So I'm definitely going to be putting on my website future. But yeah, like I said, if they want to get a signed copy, just my website, barrymorganstein.com. They're still there.
I was going to ask you for that website.
Yeah,
Barry?
Morganstein.
BarryMorganstein.com.
.com.
And I suppose Rod Stewart didn't show up and tell you to leave Virginia alone when you were there, right?
No, he did.
That was terrible.
Yeah, I never got to photograph Rod Stewart, unfortunately.
Oh, you never got to?
No.
He was a great rocker in his day. I know a lot of people who grew up in my time knew him as the kind of a popish singer, but he had some rock cred, some real good rock cred there.
Bases was one of the great groups.
Yep.
And
a lot of that older music was, that led the way was really awesome. That change from, the 50s and the 60s bopping along to that harder sound. I guess the British Led Zeppelin kind of a sound. They're using Marshall amps,
right?
And they're cranking. You got a lot of feedback and more powerful kind of songs is really what changed over time. I loved the 50s music. I thought it was cool when I was a kid. It was all around, and that was fun music.
It was great.
But then, like I said, Aerosmith, Led Zeppelin started getting to bands like that. That was just great. Pink Floyd. I remember the first time I listened to Darkness on the Dark Side of the Moon. It changed my life.
Yeah,
listening to these songs.
It's funny, and I grew up in the '80s. Rock was starting to turn into the hair band rock, and even the glam rock of the '70s is clearly mounds better than glam rock of the '80s. I'm putting it there, but the classic rock of the '60s and '70s also beats the classic rock of the '80s. You had some remnants. You had George Thorogood and the Destroyers. You had a couple, Aerosmith as well. You had them, but the '70s, for some reason, bands were able to do things. The music industry let bands tell stories, let bands play, let bands do those long guitar solos.
They're
The
good musicians.
album-oriented rock was fantastic.
Yeah, they're just good musicians, great songwriters. Yeah, I have a few 80s hair bands in my book that I put in with a little bit of fight.
Yeah, hey, you know what? Some of those guys take great pictures. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no, they did. They're good photos, and they have their fans, so I put them in.
Yeah. So once again, the book is Rock and Soul, Portraits by Barry Morganstein. You can get that on the website, on Amazon. Everything else is barrymorganstein.com.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks again, Barry. Joe, thank you for coming. Of course, host of the Human Equation.
Great
And
seeing you,
frequent-
Joe.
And both are frequent guests here, by the way. We're going to have you on with Tony again soon. Tony will be back next week. We're going to have a lot of fun. Tony tomorrow night is going to have a very interesting conversation. Thursday night on ColonelTonyShaffer.com. There's a conversation you're not going to want to miss. This is where he is going to talk with Sal Marciano, the guy who does he's a shipping expert. He does the Let's Talk About Shipping on YouTube. It's a great channel. Check it out. He talks with him, General Blaine Holt, and Navy Captain retired Pete O'Brien. They go in depth on the new battleship fleet we're going to be having, the new Trump class Navy fleets. We're going to talk in depth about what's going on with Venezuela. We're going to be talking about going in depth with a recent speech by Pete Hegseth about military readiness. It is going to be fantastic. You're not going to want to miss that. But you need to be a member. ColonelTonyShaffer.com. It's ColonelTonyShaffer.com. Check it out. Thank you for being here, Barry. Thank you for being here, Joe. And thank you all for being here on the live chat. I'm Chris. Thank you. Chris Cordani signing off on the Shaffer Files.
Thanks, guys.